Hello tankers and tankettes, and welcome to a bit of a quickly recorded video, if I'm honest, because I've been having some technical issues over the last couple of, well, weeks I suppose, but it's been getting a bit worse recently, and so for the last couple of days I've been basically making backups and trying to find out what's been going on with my PC. And as it turns out, one of my sticks of RAM had gone bad, so I've whipped that out, and I think I actually can get away without replacing it for the time being, because 12 gigs of RAM versus 16, you know, it's still more than enough for most of what I'm doing. My video rendering times might be a little bit longer or something, I don't know, but theoretically it should be fine. My plan is to get a new PC sometime in the new year anyway, just straight up new everything, because previously I've done piecemeal upgrades and then every so often I'll upgrade the guts, but the guts of this one are about 4 years old, so my plan is that I'll just get a new everything and my current PC will then just be a backup. So what I'm going to do quickly, and hopefully it'll be a success as we're recording this live, is have a go at the Halloween mode in tanks, because I've actually logged back into tanks to try this out. Now there's a PvP version with the two Halloween tanks. One of them is the FCM F1, and I cannot for the life of me remember what the other is, but it's also French. It's one of these this one here, the French, slightly less of a behemoth than this thing, but yeah, you might recognise that as being the old ARL-44 turret, the stock turret, and now it's back in the game again, the doghouse, only it's attached to a rather different looking tank this time. And well, they've taken certain liberties with the stats. Yeah, they only kind of look like the French tanks. I think they might be a little faster than their real life counterparts, but nonetheless they look different enough. And interestingly, they have multi-turrets. Both of them have multi-turrets, and I think this is the first time we've had multi-turreted tanks with functional multiple turrets in the game. So once upon a time we were told this was just not technically possible, but clearly these days it is. So we're going to take the Stein, because one's called the Franken and one's called the Stein. No idea what that's in reference to. It's probably something super obscure that no one's ever heard of. And yeah, most people seem to be taking this one out, but I'm actually going to give this one a go. And the turret, the second turret on this one is actually a little bit awkward in terms of the placement, but it's still an okay tank. I think the other one's 90mm and this one's 105mm, and it actually has the faster rate of fire, so it can do, I think, theoretically a bit more damage, because the 90mm, if we look at that, yeah, it's less damage per shell, I think, or am I completely... No, I think the other one is actually more damage per shell, but this one's a faster rate of fire. I don't know why that would be more damage when that's a bigger shell. Don't even know. Also, terrible dispersion, I just noticed that. But the aim time is pretty damn good on both, so I've not bothered with dropping any credits on upgrades. Unlike over in Warships, where I spent something like 10 million credits outfitting the Halloween ships. I'm still trying to get a 5-star run in Warships for the PvE as well. But the reason this grabbed my attention is because it's pretty much like the PvE Warships operations, in that you are fighting cooperatively with a group of teammates versus a whole bunch of bots, plus a boss enemy. And if they did more stuff like this in tanks, I'd probably come back and play tanks more, because I quite enjoy that in Warships. Only in Warships I still do mostly play PvE, but these days in tanks, well, it would have to be something like that to entice me back. And the thing is, even in Warships, there's a not unsubstantial amount of people that play just PvE and play just operations. Some of the operations are more they've got more replay value than others, but yeah, there are a huge number of people that only ever kind of, you know, play against the bots, and find, you know, just playing against normal people a bit too frustrating. So I can't say I blame them. So this is the downside of this awkward turret arrangement, is you can't point the gun right behind you. So yeah, that's the reload. So yeah, you've got a bunch of these, basically these tanks, except they're dressed slightly differently, a bunch of the minions, as it were. And then the boss starts up there somewhere, and the minions, well, if you've played this already, you'll know they you kill them and they drop health packs, which are actually the team health heals. Health heals, that's the thing. So that if you pick them up, your entire team benefits. And I think there's actually a thing for getting a certain amount of healing on your entire team. I'm trying to shield this guy and he's not cooperating. There we go. So everybody will have gotten a heal there, and if everybody, you know, if you coordinate the usage of those, then oh yeah, the Leviathan's pointing its gun at me. That's not nice. Then they can actually, you know, they can help keep people alive. And that's not a thing in warships actually. There's no kind of healing mechanism at all. But then this is a complete fantastical scenario. There's no kind of anything involved. Well, having said that, yeah, actually the warships Halloween operation does have team healing. Of course it does. Two of the ship classes effectively, one gets an area heal and the other gets just a global team heal, but you only get limited uses. And it's actually been one of my pet peeves. Everybody's been jumping in to try the carrier because, you know, it's a tier 8 carrier and you get to try it for free, and it's actually got good, you know, auto drops because, you know, they're expecting people to be jumping in that haven't played carriers much perhaps, but it means that the carrier queue has been rather long, and nobody that picks the carrier seems to bother using the abilities, and you need those abilities in order to win the game. So it's a bit frustrating, and it's almost become like a drinking game. You know, oh look, the carrier is once again not using their abilities, and once again we're just losing people when we don't need to unnecessarily. So the Leviathan, I don't know if it's the Leviathan or if it's supposed to be calling these in or if they're just appearing, but these kind of stun mines, whatever you want to call them, yeah, they're kind of annoying, and they're one of the principal ways that it stops you from, let's actually use the big gun there for a change. One of the principal ways in which it stops you from getting up too close is that, well, you can try it, but you'll get stunned in the process. Oh no, if I don't have enough, angle on the rear turret there. Yeah, because you can use that gun effectively for a pretty decent boost for DPM, but once it goes into the narrow streets, you're going up behind it, you get stunned, you can't move, and suddenly the Leviathan can point its gun at you, and the Leviathan's gun is very, very nasty. It's basically a massive HE derp gun that will completely obliterate you in one shot. So you kind of have to wait for him to either be distracted or else... Ooh, slightly taking a chance there, or you know, wait till he's fired at somebody else to take your chances, or else just, you know, I don't know where I'm going with that, but just, you know, just don't get shot. You won't enjoy it. It does seem to be the rear armor more than the side armor more than the rear armor that's vulnerable. Although the lower front, lower rear plate even it would be. That is vulnerable to the main cannon, but the small caliber gun, at least on this thing, is really only useful against the side armor. The turret armor is also somewhat vulnerable if you can get the sides. But we're actually making fairly good progress on this. There's 2 of the bots left, which, you know, in fact there must be 4 of them left if it's telling us there's 4 left. I mean, there seems to be, like, the rewards for warships honestly seems to be better in that you can get skins that, you know, make those ships look like the Halloween versions, which is kind of cool. In this it seems to be things like personal reserves and premium consumables. There we go, that's what I'm looking for. So it's still, you know, it's a good way to farm those things, and it's just kind of good fun overall, I think. But is it coming this way? Just fine. Yeah, the overall rewards don't seem to be quite as good, I would say. Yeah, people are going for the people have been going for the heals and not just letting them sit there or just collecting them unnecessarily, which is useful. Right, that's one of the side guns, by the way. You probably noticed in the it does have little side defensive guns, and they do kind of hurt. So you can't be too complacent. But the armour on these tanks is not terrible, though, I have to say. If you're willing to trade away a bit of how to do damage, it's down to his last 5,000 as well. It's not completely inconsiderable. Oh, he's looking my way. Get out the way. Yeah, so the armor against the derp gun does not work, but the armor, if you're angling against the minions, is fine. Actually, we'll use the health kit that time. It's fine. Oh, and the track's been blown off as well. Thing is, though, you've still got the regular cooldown when you've used those, so it's a little bit risky. You've got to try using it reasonably well. But I think we should do this. I've done it with one group of people already, and it was fine. Although I have to say, in Warships is, like, having said you can get the cool skins, it's through the crate system, or the container system, so it's completely random as to whether you will get one or not. I've got one so far for a ship that I don't actually own. Actually, no, I tell a lie. Oh, no, too busy talking. I got one for the Bismarck, and it was a bit weird, because in the actual scenario, you're basically playing the Tirpitz, but for some reason the skin is for the Bismarck. I don't understand that, but anyway. So yeah, it'd be cool if you could get skins for tanks, except of course these aren't regular tanks, these are special event tanks. So, we won that round. And the platoon that was in there, I think it's just regular platoons can queue up for this. It's not like Warships Operations where you can fill out an entire team with your friends, which is, that's another nice feature of Warships Operations. It'd be nice if that would come to tanks. I didn't do so well damage-wise. I think I was a bit too busy gabbing, but the Frankens all did pretty well. I did better than the other Steins, at least. In fact, I did quite a lot of damage compared to the other Steins. I wasn't really in a good position to use that rear cannon very much. Like, if you can get into a good position, I think my best damage in this tank was like 9k, but just with the positioning on this, yeah, this might be the better damage dealer overall, but I think it has less good armor. Also, probably quite terrible gun depression. Not that it matters on the map that they've chosen. So we got a reward. What is the reward? Which is a kind of crate, I suppose, but it's probably just going to be some personal reserves and some credits this time. So yeah, there's no... It'd be nice if you could get like some, I don't know, special camos for your tanks or something. Not even skins necessarily, but yeah, there are certainly a whole bunch of missions they've put in, which is fine. It's just I kind of prefer what Warships has done overall in terms of rewards. But it's still a nice event, and it still makes me hopeful that we'll get some kind of Operations style, you know, co-op play, essentially. Because there's a big market for co-op games. People like playing co-op games. That's a huge slice of what goes on in MMOs, for example. You know, the raiding and stuff that you can do. It's not against other players. It's going through dungeons. It's cooperatively, you know, with a group of other people trying to beat a bunch of bots. And I think there would definitely be a market for that in tanks. You know, that would certainly entice me back to playing tanks more. And I suspect there would be other people. So who knows? Maybe Wargaming is using this as a test bed for tanks to gauge the popularity of how many people are interested. Which is kind of what they did with Warships, because before we had Operations in the game, you know, we had last year's Halloween event, and I think it was rather popular. Proved that it could work, and so who knows? Maybe. Fingers crossed. Maybe I'm just being hopelessly optimistic that they'll bring a thing into the game that will make me want to come back and play it. But if not, well, I've still got Warships and, hey, to some extent, you know, Warplanes now as well, because I've been playing that a bit. So that's it for this kind of stand-in video. Now that hopefully my blue screen issues are sorted, I'll be back onto a more normal schedule, and hopefully things won't be affected too much. Hopefully. That's a lot of hopefullys. So, if you enjoyed this video, you can leave any comments below, you can hit the like button, you can sub to my channel if you haven't already, and as always, stay tuned for more.